Hey family, how are you? This is Ramon Walker, founder of Dreamstar. And again, I'm super excited that you guys have decided to be a part of the Shift Your Life Challenge. I am excited about this morning because we have a lot of things to cover. Today, I'm going to be talking about shifting your career and your business brand. And we have a lot of different topics. We're going to go over a lot of things we're going to go through. And so, welcome, Amber. Welcome, Gwen. Welcome, everybody who's going to be on today. We have a lot of really good things to dive into. And so I am going to get started because I can't wait to share the stuff that I've been preparing for. So first and foremost, I just want to tell you guys, first of all, that I truly believe that your business and your career are critical to where you're going as a success. I remember a few years ago, I really didn't like where my business or my career was, and specifically my career, because I hadn't really started a business yet. I remember it was 2013 years old, not 13 years old, but 13. And I was frustrated. I was really frustrated with my life. I was frustrated with where my career was. I was frustrated with what was happening around me. I was frustrated with the income I was making. I was frustrated because I felt stuck. Before I started a business, I worked for about 5 years in the marketing area. I worked for two companies. I was a creative director for one company and the creative director and a manager of another company. And I remember working for those two companies. I just literally, when I first started off, when I graduated from college, I was excited about going into marketing because that's where my degree was in. I was passionate about beginning in that area. But after working in it for about 2 years, I really realized that, man, something's got to change. Something is frustrating. Something I don't really like where I am today, you know? I was working behind a computer. I was really good at what I did, but even though I was really good at what I did, I was frustrated about what I was doing because I realized that my passion wasn't behind the computer. My passion was in front of people. And so I remember being behind the computer, going and doing design work, sending out projects, project managing the things that are around me. And I was really frustrated about what was happening. So fast forward, I remember having a sit down meeting with a few friends and really talking about the next stages of our lives and kind of what we wanted to do. And I knew I needed to pivot where I was to where I wanted to go because my goal wasn't to stay behind a computer all day. My goal wasn't to stay behind, in an office and work and just literally get projects out. My goal wasn't just to be a designer, wasn't just to be the creative director, wasn't just to be a market in marketing. And even though I loved it and it was something that I could do, I realized it wasn't something that I was passionate about doing full time. See, a lot of times we confuse our passion with our hobbies, right? Oftentimes, like I did, there was something that I had a hobby for, which I love design and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I was passionate doing full time. And I think when it comes to where you want to go and shifting your business and shifting your career, you got to first of all identify where you are. You got to identify what's happening in your career, what's happening in your business. Are you where you want to be? I want you to think about that. Like, are you right now where you want to be? Some of you guys, you're in a career that's like, you know what? I'm working a job every day. I'm doing what I need to do. I show up, I leave, but it doesn't feel like it's bringing any meaning. It doesn't feel like there's a pathway to my growth. It doesn't feel like there's a pathway to opportunities. It doesn't feel like there's a pathway to what I want to accomplish. Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? For those of you guys who have businesses, you guys have either started a business or you've been working a business for years and you're like, man, I've gotten a little bit of traction, but I haven't really accomplished what I've wanted to do. That's how I felt, right? I had some clients and things that I did on the side, and I had my full-time career in which I did it, but I really wasn't making traction. So I remember talking to some friends, and we actually talked about doing an event. And it was just something we were going to do on the side. I had never did an event before in my life. And we were going to come together and just do an event to help the entrepreneurs in Tulsa because all of us, we were all working with different groups of entrepreneurs in our own different lanes, in our own side businesses. And we decided, man, wouldn't it be great to have a business or have an event where we can bring the people we've been working with together in one place and we can promote it and help people with their entrepreneurial goals, with their nonprofit goals, and so on. And what I realized when we did that when we started talking about it, was that, man, I really ignited inside. I really became passionate inside. I really literally enjoyed what I was doing. And so what we were talking about. And so we planned it, we talked about it. I was excited about it, but then literally life happened. A lot of my friends, they either ended up, some of them got married, some of them had to move away, some of them got busy with their work. And the stuff that I was really excited about talking amongst those friends, it never ended up happening because everyone else, their life shifted. But for me, there was this passion inside of me that I was still excited about moving forward in this event. I didn't know, I knew this event was going to help people. We did months of research. I did a lot of different research, and I knew that there was going to be something that would happen with this event that would change lives. And so I pressed forward. I started talking to people in the community. I started figuring out what people were needing. I started talking to business owners and entrepreneurs and people who are in the part of the economic ecosystem in Tulsa. And from those conversations and from that information and from that research, I launched the DreamStar Entrepreneurship Conference. What was originally supposed to be an event what a group of us did, it was something that I actually did. And I launched back in November of 2013. And that launching point, that passion center, that point became what the inspiration and really for me, the cultivation and the catalyst that led me into doing what I do today. And that inspired me to want to do more. Since then, I've literally trained and helped hundreds of entrepreneurs. I've had clients featured in TED. I've had clients featured in Rolling Stone magazine. I've had clients featured on Yahoo Finance. I've helped people to be featured in a newspaper. And because of the work I've done with people and the branding work I've done, my work has been featured all across the country. I have international clients I've worked with now, which has been a really great privilege. I've been able to travel nationally. Just a few weeks ago, I was in Phoenix, Arizona. A few weeks from now, I'm going to be in Vegas. And I would not say I have not arrived at all. I'm still working a full-time job, but I'm doing what I love in my full-time job because of the things that I'm going to teach you guys on today. However, because of my brand and because of the things I've been able to do from the DreamStar Conference and the things I've been able to do since then, it's really helped propel me and gave me a lot more options for what I want to do in my life. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys today, is about options, right? That I think sometimes there's this myth out there that either you do one or the other. You either have a business and you do it full-time and that's what makes you successful, or you have a job full-time and that's what makes you successful. But you know what, guys? I want you guys to have options. Part of this conversation today is the ability to create opportunities for yourself, that you're not limited to your job, you're not limited to your business, but you have opportunities to create income, to create access to whatever avenue that you want to. That you guys have the ability to create opportunities for whatever you would like to do. That's what this talk is going to be about today. I'm going to give you guys some really practical steps on how to do that. And so we're going to dive into that. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. We're going to dive into really what does it mean to really shift your business? What does it mean to really shift your career? Because I'm going to deal with each of those on today, okay? So first of all, I truly believe the biggest part and the biggest thing that helped me to shift my business and to shift my career was my brand. I didn't really know what a brand, I've done branding for people. I've helped people with branding. I've helped inspire and teach and train. But even before I started doing this as coaching, as teaching, as in events, I realized that I didn't really know much about my own brand. I really honestly hated my brand because I had so many different transitions in my brand. When I first graduated from college, I wanted to be a ministry consultant. I wanted to help ministries brand themselves. And then after that, I also had a portfolio where I wanted to be a graphic designer, and that was one of my brains. But I realized that I was doing a lot of different things, but there was a few things they had in common. Number one, I realized my passion was connecting people to their brands. My passion was helping identify where people were and understanding and gaining clarity on what their brands were. The second thing that I realized is that, honestly, I was more passionate about helping people accomplish their brands than creating their brands for them. It was something that I could do. Yes, I can create a logo for you. Yes, I can design this brochure for you. But I realized my passion, right, was really helping people and in coaching them and teaching them and training them on how to cultivate their brand. See, the thing I realized was that my brand wasn't necessarily in just the design and development of other people's, but my brand was being a cultivator of other people's brands. And that to me is what really inspired me to not only just do the conference, but from the conference to do some of the things I've been able to do. I was able to raise $7,000 in scholarships and sponsorships, and to be able to help people to go to the conference, but to bring sponsorships to the conference that I did. I was able to do workshops and mastermind classes and so many other things on top of that because of the things that I was passionate about when it came to my brand. And so we're going to talk about personal branding because I believe your shift is in your brand. I believe the shift that you guys are looking for is in your personal brand. I'm going to show you guys some strategic ways that you can maximize your brand professionally, whether it's in your career, how to grow your career, how to expand your career. Then I'm going to teach you guys how to use your brand to generate extra income, to generate money for your career, to generate money from your job. And I'm going to show you guys how to maximize yourself to make sure that you are bringing your best foot forward with your brand. So let's talk about personal branding. There's three myths that I hear a lot when it comes to your personal brand that I want to talk about. First of all, number one is a lot of people think that your brand is just your logo, your business cards, your brochure, the physical attributes of that. But no, right? You are your brand. I want you guys to really get that. Your brand isn't a logo. When I'm talking about branding, I don't want you to think, oh, website, logo, brochures, flyers. No, you are your brand. And more than anything else in the world, the way you present yourself, the clearer you are about yourself, the clearer you are about what you offer to the world, the stronger your brand is going to be. If you don't really understand who you are as a person, you'll never understand where you're going as a brand. Okay. The second thing is you have to have the right personality for it. A lot of people think that branding means that you have some big personality, and it's not true, right? That your brand is not just about your personality. It's about your core values. It's about your offerings. It's about your skills. It's about what type of solutions you're solving for other people. Okay. But if you're just thinking about, man, if I don't have a personality, if I'm shyer, if I'm a lot more of an introvert, then I don't have a brand. No. Did you know Steve Jobs? He was an introvert, but he has a brand, right? That there are people around the world who are introverts who technically you would consider them not personality-driven people, but they have a brand for themselves. Jeff Bezos, he's literally the richest, but the second richest man in the world right now. Only second to Bill Gates. He literally is an introvert. Both of them are introverts, but they both have a brand. So it's not about your personality. It's not about the people who look at you and it's like, man, that person talks a lot. That person can inspire me. But your brand is less about your personality, right? And more about the solution you bring to people. And the last thing is people only assume that your brand is only for business people, right? And I really want to get this clear. We're going to talk about personal branding, but I'm going to hit it from both levels. I'm going to hit it from your career. I'm going to hit it from your business. And so your brand is necessary, not just in your career, but your brand is necessary in your business as well. People assume that, man, if I only have a brand, that means I want to start a business. It's not true. Today's world, did you know that employers, like literally more than your resume now, they look at your personal brand? Like they Google you. Like the number one thing that employers do when they get your application is they're going to Google your name. And whatever shows up about you, whether good or bad, that's going to be a clear indicator of your brand. The moment you step in a job interview, you have a brand. The moment you answer your first interview question, your brand is being communicated. And so, yes, branding is really important. Nike has a brand. Microsoft has a brand. Apple has a brand. Companies have a brand, but you are the brand as well. Why do you need a brand though? Like, why is that important? I want you guys to really realize this. Here's why that's important. Number one, I truly believe branding can clarify your legacy. See, it's more, legacy is more than we actually give credit for. I think sometimes I always tell my students this. I've taught over 2,000 students what I'm teaching you guys right now. And one of the things that I tell them is that I don't want to be just remembered for 2 paragraphs on a sheet of paper when I die. Whenever you die and you have an obituary and they give you that obituary and they basically don't give it to you, but they give it to your family members, your friends, there's only about 2 or 3 paragraphs that you're remembered by. Hey, you know, this person, he worked this place. He left behind these family members. He did this, he did these things at his job. He was a nice person. He was a great person. She was a really phenomenal person. I don't want to just be remembered based on what is on 2 pieces of paper, on 2 paragraphs in a sheet of paper. I feel like my life is worth more than that. And I feel like your life is worth more than that as well. Your legacy is more than just a few paragraphs on a sheet of paper. Your brand helps you to extend beyond a few sheets of paper into a lifetime, right? Like your brand allows you to be intentional about the message you're delivering and the message you're communicating and the things that you want to accomplish. Your brand really captures your legacy in a very succinct way. I mean, think about it. Think about people who are great, who passed away. Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Dr. Martin Luther King lived an entire life, but we remember him for racial inequality, racial justice, because that was his brand. When you think about someone like Oprah, right? She's still alive, but when Oprah passes away, she's lived an entire life. She has friends, she has family members, she has people she's connected to. She has so many things that she's accomplished, but she's only going to be remembered, right, for her philanthropy, for her entertainment, for the things that she's done. I mean, I think about all the people who are great in the world. You don't remember every day of their life. You don't remember the intricacies of day-to-day living of what they do. You don't remember that, man, this person, they had to, wash their face and brush their teeth every day. You don't remember, man, this person, they went to work and worked the job every day. You remember the impact they've made on the people they were around. And that has become a part of their brand. And so when we become life-oriented and not just solution-oriented, that's when we really get confused about, okay, well, I live my life, I wake up every day, but I'm not being intentional about what I'm doing. History books do not measure intention, they measure impact. I want you guys to remember that. History books do not measure, there's a lot of things that we intend to do, but there's not a lot of times where we make impact on what we intend to do. And so your brand is about not just having intentions, but making impact. That every day I'm going to wake up solution oriented. That how does my skills, my efforts, who I am, solve specific problems for a specific group of people? And how do I capture that? How do I scale that? How do I grow that? The last thing about your brand, the next thing about your brand that makes it really why you need it and it makes it important is that you want to increase opportunities for you. Now, I want you guys to hear this fact, and this is from a career standpoint. 71% of CEOs believe that human capital, which is your brand, is a source of economic value. Okay, that's according to a study by IBM. 71% of CEOs believe that human capital, which is your brand, is a key source of economic value. That means a company's wealth is in you. Like a company's wealth, their legacy, their strength, their longevity comes from you as a brand. Okay? According to research data from Monster.com, only 26% of employees are confident in their job. Only 26%. But 54% are currently looking for the next job. And 90% of those polled have considered making a career change, right? Now, here's why that's important. Because there are so many people who are not happy about their job because they're not happy about their brand. See, the thing is, once I've discovered my brand, every place I've been in, I've been able to love. Once I've discovered what I love to do, like that I enjoy who I am as a person, that I love the things that I'm able to offer to people, I'm not limited to if I enjoy my job or not, because I create opportunities outside my job. Once I discovered that, man, I have a brand that I'm not just limited to solving problems within my brand itself. I can create and use and create opportunities for my brand wherever I am. I didn't just limit myself to the place that I worked at. And the thing is, the one thing I love about branding is it creates opportunities for you way beyond the workplace. And it creates opportunities for you in the workplace. Because once I discovered my brand, that's when my career grew. That's when opportunities grew for me. That's when I was able to expand what I was doing, right? I was able to get a promotion at my job. I was able to negotiate an additional $8,000 to $9,000 on my current job because of my brand, right? Like branding allows you to give you opportunities, allows you to have options, and allows you to really play your life on your own terms. Branding allows you to be able to say, you know what? I'm not limiting myself to what I do, but I am the brand. And so wherever I go, I can give myself opportunities wherever I go. I can give myself access to whatever I want to do. That's what branding does, okay? And then the last thing, more than 1/3 of employers use social media, which is looking for your brand, and Google to screen potential employees. Like I said, more than 33% of all employers use and look for your brand to discover if you are going to be successful, okay? They want to use your brand. They want to be able to take your brand and they want to say, okay, who is this person? Are they who we think we are? And we're going to Google them. We're going to research them. We're going to look them up on Facebook and we're going to see, is that the person for us, right? That's what your brand is. So last reason why you need a brand is because you want to scale your impact. I think there's a lot of you guys who you want to make a greater impact than just work, than just your job, than just your business. And I think branding allows you to do that. It allows you to put your impact, who you are as a person, into a process, into a package, and then you can scale that process, you can scale that package, and you can grow where you are. That's why branding is so important. So let's get into the meat of this. Now that you guys understand why branding is important, I'm about to dive into some meat. And so I'm going to go through a lot of content. I want to prepare you guys for that, but we're gonna really get into the meat of why branding is important and what is a brand exactly and how to do what we just talked about. Okay, so there are 5 elements of a personal brand that's really important. Okay, there is clarity, there's content, there's your community, there's your connection, and there's your like the consumer. Okay, so clarity, content, your community, and your connection. 4 elements. I'm gonna put 4 elements. Okay, so clarity, content, community, and connection. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so your clarity is going to be your focus, your mission. Why do you do what you do? It's going to be like your mission, your cause, what you want to do. The second one is going to be your content, right? What are you offering? Who you are as a person? What do you bring into the marketplace? What do you bring into your jobs? Third one is going to be your community. So that's your audience. That's the people that you're connected to, who you're targeting. There may be companies you're targeting, or there may be people individually that you're targeting for your business. And then there's your connection, right? Those are the platforms you're going to use to really expand your brand. We're going to talk through each of those. We're going to walk you guys through each of those and exactly what they mean, okay? So let's talk about the first one, which is your clarity, your mission, okay? Every company that begins has a mission, right? Probably the most foundational part of your brand when it comes to you as a person is identifying how you solve a problem, okay? That is your mission. There's a company, you can probably guess what it is. Their mission statement is, we want to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. We want to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. That company is Google, okay? They have a mission. They want to solve a specific problem for specific people. There's another company. We want to save people money to live. We want to save people money to live better. Like they want to save people money so those people can live better, okay? That company is Walmart. There's no company that got started that didn't have a mission or vision. My question to you is, what's your mission for your life right now? Like, okay, yes, you're doing a lot of things. You're working. Some of you guys are hustling. You're working really hard. But how does everything you do line up to your overall mission? Like, can you pinpoint specifically what and why the things in your life line up with your mission? Let me give you an example. Before this year, the end of this year, I was challenged by, honestly, God and by my wife to really simplify and get clear about my mission. Because before, my company did a lot of different things. I was doing graphic design for people. I was doing, coaching. I was doing training. I was doing a lot of different things. And these were good things that I was doing, but they weren't clear and succinct to a specific mission. I didn't have a clear why, okay? Like I knew personally why I wanted to do it, but that why wasn't being reflected in everything that I was doing, okay? You have to identify what problems specifically you want to solve for people. Like more than anything else in the world, when it comes to your brand, if you can't identify how your brand solves problems, then you have to really get clear with yourself and say, okay, what am I doing in my life? Yes, I want to write a book. Yes, I want to sell products. Yes, I want to speak. Yes, I want, but nothing that you do when it comes to your brand. Yes, I want to, work and make this much money in my career. But how does your personal brand solve problems? In your career, that may be, how do I as an individual solve problems in my company? There are two questions that every company wants to know before you start working with them. What problem did you solve at your previous companies? And what problem will you solve for us that no one else can do? So what problem did you solve at your previous companies that no one else could do? And what problems would you solve for us if you work for us that no one else can do, right? That's what makes you irreplaceable. Being able to identify specifically how you solve problems in your company. I mean, think about your current company right now. How are you solving problems in your company right now? Like if they were to look at you at your job, right? If they were to look at you and what you're doing right now, could they replace you and still get the job done? If the question to that is yes, okay, if you are replaceable at your current job, then you're not solving enough problems there. One of the things I tell my students is that literally, right, employees do tasks. Employees, they go to work and they do tasks every day. They go there, they go in, they clock out, they clock in, they clock out, and they only do what's expected of them. They only do the things that are there expected of them, right? Yeah, they complete their job description, which is good. They show up at work on time and then they leave at work on time. But those people, they don't get promoted. Those people, they don't become executives. Those people aren't elevated to VP. But experts, people who are experts in their industry, they're experts in their field. Those are the people that solve problems. Those are the people that approach their job as a consultant. They look at problems that need to be solved. They solve problems in those industries, and then they create solutions for their employer. Those are the assets for those employees are the assets for their companies. How are you an asset for your company right now? When you're thinking about the place that you're working at, are you just doing the job they're asking you to do, or are you creating solutions for where you're going? That's how you solve your problems. Now, for those of you guys in business or who want to start a business, you got to identify how am I going to solve problems for and not just how I'm going to solve problems for my customers, my future customers, but does that problem mean enough for them where they're willing to pay me to solve it? That's the kicker, right? Because a lot of times we can create things, we can make stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people who got products. I mean, there's a lot of people who sell hand creams and lotions. I know a lot of people who are doing businesses, multi-level marketing companies. I know a lot of people who are doing speaking and training and consulting and coaching. I know a lot of people in business, right? But you have to ask yourself, is the problem that I'm solving for people so significant that people are willing to pay me for it? Because the thing is not whether or not that problem may be a real problem, is that do they see you as a solution for that problem? Like there's a difference between having a problem, but seeing it as a solution for that problem, right? You should be so clearly connected to the problem you solve, whether it's in your career or in your business, that people identify you as a solution for that problem. I think about permanent markers. We don't call permanent markers, we call them Sharpies. Because for us, the number one solution to permanent marker is a Sharpie. I think about back in the day, we used to call copies. Like when you got a copy, we call them Xerox. Like could you give me a Xerox copy? Xerox is a company, right? They were branded with their copy. I think about when we think about tissue. We didn't used to call tissue, we called it Kleenex, because Kleenex was branded as the number one solution for the problem of needing really good tissue. We don't even talk about searching anymore. Back in the day, we used to have hundreds of search engines like AltaVista or AskJeeves or Yahoo.com. But we don't even think about that anymore. We just automatically go to Google. Google has been so associated with solving problems that that's the number one search engine we use. And some of those search engines still exist, but it is the number one search engine. How does your brand solve a specific problem, right, for a specific group of people? And are they so committed to you? Are you in such a place as an expert that people look to you to be the expert to solve their problem? Because again, it's not a problem of whether you can solve the problem. I believe you guys can solve the problem in your career or in your business. The thing is though, are people willing to invest in you to solve their problem? Is that the ability that you have? That's what it means to know. So one of the things that you guys can do is you can ask yourself, how do I solve a problem, right? What specific problem do I solve in my industry? Some of us are too general. Our problem that we want to solve is too out there. It's too broad. Well, what do you do? Well, I make hair products for people who need it. Okay, who are you specifically solving that problem to? What unique thing are you doing for that problem that you're solving? What makes you different? Okay, what process are you using? Sometimes we are way too general about the way we solve our problems. Your problem solving should always connect to the people you're solving it for. Think about that. Your problem solving should always connect to the people you're solving it for. And if they don't connect to it, if they don't see you as a person for it, if they're not willing to invest in you, whether it's a job or promotion or paying you money to offer them a service or a product, then we got to do some work on how we solve problems and communicating how we solve problems. Okay. For a while, people saw me as the design problem solver. Okay. Like if people knew if they needed a design, if they needed a logo, if I needed a brochure, they would come to Ramon. But I got tired of that because I didn't want to be known as just a design guy, because people only saw me for a task. They only saw me as something that I did, like I just gave. A lot of times, guys, we're not selling problem solving, we're selling features. We're selling stuff. Well, I can do this for you. I can do this. I can make this happen. I can do these things for you, right? For me, I was like, I can create a logo for you. I can make a brochure. I can make your website. I can do these things for you. And I was just selling features. I was just selling the things I could do for people. I was just selling tasks I can complete for people, but I wasn't selling solutions. The difference between people who are doing tasks and people who are experts, right, are the people who can sell not just their features, right, but their why, the problem that they solve and why people should solve. What solutions are you bringing? When people come to you, what kinds of solutions are they expecting from you, okay? The next thing is, when it comes to your brand, once you identify, right, your clarity, like you're clear about what problem you solve, you're clear about your focus, your mission, right? The next thing you want to think about is your offerings. What do you bring to the table? Like, how exactly do you solve these problems? What specifically about you that allows you to solve these problems? I call that human capital. That all of us have human capital, okay? So let me give you an example of what human capital is. So let's say you want to buy something, right, on Amazon.com. And let's say you're looking for a particular product and you're looking for a particular thing. There are some common things you're going to look for when it comes to that particular product. Some of those things are going to be, you're going to look for testimonials. For me, I love looking at testimonials. We're going to look at the cost. We're going to look at the size. We're going to look at the how long the company's been around. Some of us, we're going to look at description. We're going to see the features and benefits from that particular product. We're going to start looking at who's all used the product. We may ask around. There's specific things that we're going to be looking for, the color, the style. We're going to look for specific things for that particular product to see if it meets our need for where we're going. Me and my wife are moving very soon, and we're looking for different furniture for our house. And let's say, for example, for a couch, there are millions of couches we can choose from, but there's one couch that goes in and that is aligned with what type of thing we want to sit in, like, right? Like, I can go and buy a blue couch, I can buy a black couch, I can buy a red couch, I can buy a poofy couch, I can buy a streamlined couch, I can buy a wooden couch. I can do whatever I want to, but there's a specific couch that'll solve a specific problem for us because we know the type of style we want, we know the price we're looking for, we know the design we're looking for, we know that. But that couch that we're looking for has specific features that are conducive to what we need as a person, right? Well, we can really understand that when it comes to a product or something we're buying off Amazon. Those same things apply to you. When people are looking for you, whether it's in your career or your business, there are specific features and benefits that really make the difference of whether or not people are going to hire you, right, for business or hire you for your job, okay? I want you to realize that. So you have to ask yourself, now that I understand, right, the problem that I'm solving, what unique skills that I'm good at, that I'm considered an expert in, because a lot of times the problem we want to solve is not directly connected to the skills that we have. I want you to think about that. The problem that we solve is not connected to the skills that we have. So the problem I want to solve is, for example, I love singing, right? I'm passionate about singing. I sing wherever I go. However, I am not skilled at singing. Anyone who you ask will tell me that. So if I wanted to solve the problem of I want to be an inspirational singer to concerts and conferences around the world, I can't solve that problem because I'm not skilled at it. And to be honest, it's not something that I'm passionate about to be skilled at, right? And so even though I like doing it, I'm passionate enough to do it. I do it all around, do it in the shower, do it at home, I sing wherever I go. The skill set that's required to be an expert at singing isn't something that I have, right? And so before we understand like our skill set, you got to ask yourself, here's what I am really, really, really wanting to solve in people's lives. Does my skill set align with that, right? Do I have verifiable evidence that the things that I feel like I'm good at, I'm actually good at? Not because I tell myself that, but because people have paid me for that. I've invested time in that. Like those are the things you want to think about when it comes to your features of benefits. So there are two kinds of features that you want to ask yourself, do you have? There are assets. So your assets are any skill, experience, product, or opportunity that brings income, okay? So how do you know if something is a skill or feature that you have about yourself that would make you something that would make you an asset? It's any skill, experience, product, or opportunity that brings income or opportunities for you, okay? And then some of you guys have liabilities, okay? Liabilities are those things that take away from who you are as a person. And liability is any skill, experience, product, opportunity that takes away from your income opportunities, okay? So you have to identify like credible assets that you have inside of you that really make you successful, that can make you successful in what you're doing. So some of the things is you have something that somebody has paid for. If somebody has invested financially in you, or you have invested financially to really develop their skill, that's something you consider an asset. Something that you've basically taken a long period of time, like you've invested at least a year or two into like developing this thing, like specifically developing it, perfecting that. That's a skill that you consider an asset. Anything that you went to school for, when you went to college, that's an asset from you that you can actually use as a skill. Maybe you went to a workshop and you got some value, or you got a certification or something. Those are assets that you can use, right, as part of your brand as skills and features that will make you stand out from the crowd. For some of you guys, it's something that you've done with friends, and you have verifiable testimonials and verifiable evidence that you create solutions in these areas. The only kind of, I guess, disclaimer I would put for that, if friends and family have told you you're really good at something, ask yourself, are these people willing to invest in it as well? So try it. You know, whatever they tell you you're good at, charge them for it and see if they'll still pay you for it, okay? If they're not willing to pay you for that, then it's not a verifiable skill yet. Because the thing is, people can tell you you're good at something because these people love you and they respect you and they're great at it, right? But just because people tell you they're good at it, they're not willing to invest in it financially. Because for me, the biggest exchange of value is when people can invest something in financially, right? If they're not willing to invest in it financially, then you ask yourself, okay, is this a skill that people value in my life? Like really, like I've been told all my life that I'm really good at speaking. Like me personally, I've been told all of my life that I was really good at speaking, right? And I felt like I was a good speaker, but it didn't become an asset for me personally until somebody was willing to pay me $500, to pay me money to come and speak at an event they were doing. Because it's one thing when people say, could you do this for free? Okay, cool. You see my value, but you only see it to the extent that in which I can provide it for you for free. But when you're willing to put your money on it, when you're willing to invest income into that, when you're willing to take your money and put it on what I'm able to do, then you not that it's not valuable, because it's still valuable, whether you pay for it or not. But that means I've transferred from it being valuable to me to it being valuable to other people as well, because they're willing to invest money into it. I remember one time I did last year a 2-hour workshop, or an hour-and-a-half workshop at one of the biggest oil companies in Tulsa here. And it's a $1 billion company, and they paid me for it. And it was just like, man, that was an incredible feeling to go somewhere, to get asked by someone to come and speak at their company, and then the company themselves, a $1 billion company, to see it so much and see me so valuable where they're willing to invest money into what I'm doing, right? The same thing applies to your career. So yes, there's a lot of things that you guys are doing in your career, but look at your job history and ask yourself, what have people paid for me in my career to do, right? Like, yes, I've applied to a lot of jobs and I've wanted to do a lot of things, but looking at my track record, what have people actually invested money in my salary, in my hourly pay? What have people actually invested money for me to do, right? And that is a clear indication of, okay, There's one thing, if I can do this, I can do it for free, that's great. But it's another thing when people are so convinced that what I'm doing is great, they pay me to do it. And are the skills that I'm paid to do and people invest in me to do, is it worth me creating a brand over? Because a lot of you guys, there are things that you guys want to do for businesses, or there are places you want to go in your career, right, that are exciting, that you're passionate about, but you haven't invested time or money into it, and no one else has invested time and money into it as well. And so for me, I spent over $100,000 on my branding. I did. I went to college for this, right? Over $100,000 for what I do in branding now. That's a lot of money. My college wasn't cheap. It wasn't. When it came to what I do in my career, people have paid me money, right, in my career to do what I do in my career. And so I invested money into my career, right? And then other companies invested money into me for my career. And so even what I'm doing now, speaking, I speak every day for a living because people, my job invests money. So what I'm doing, when I'm teaching you guys, I've taught over 2,000 people this, even more than that, honestly, because I've taught it what I do in my teaching, and I also teach it in workshops and things as well. I've had people to invest. What I'm teaching you guys, people have paid me a lot of money to teach you guys this stuff. And so the thing is, I'll have verifiable evidence. And this is not to brag on myself. I'm not cocky by any means, but this is just to show you that you cannot say that you're good at something unless you have verifiable evidence that people have invested into that. That's how you know it's an asset, okay? So the thing is, we've talked about, first of all, we talked about clarity, being clear about how you solve problems. We talked about understanding your content. What are your features and benefits? So we talked about examples of features and benefits. I talked about your education. I talked about your work experience. I talked about your volunteer experience. Now, volunteer experience can be considered an asset as well. Some of you guys have volunteered for years at places, and the work that you're doing, the company would actually pay for that for you to do that if you really approach them about it, right? Those are examples of experiences or features that you have. For some of you guys, it's your story, right? There's something you've been through, there's something you've experienced, there's something you've encountered that allowed you to really learn something or grow from something. That can be an asset, right? That can be something that you use as part of your brand, whether it's your business brand or whether it's your career brand. Those are things that are important. One of the number one problems I see with people specifically with their career brand is that on their resume, they only list their duties and not the problems they solve in the companies they worked at. When it comes to your resume, if you look at your resume right now, your physical work resume, and all you see on your resume are duties of things that you've done, then you haven't identified how you solve problems. If I can look at your resume and compare it to the job description, not only see what's on the job description on every job on your resume, then you haven't identified on your resume how you solve problems. That's one resume tip. Change your resume to how you solve problems in every job. For your career, if you can't properly articulate, the specific features that you have as a person or as a company, like what process you take people through, why your product is better. What's we call it in business, your unique selling point. What's your value proposition, right? What things about your product makes it stand out from the crowd? If you can't do that, if you're not clear about that, then you won't be effective with your brand. I want you to think about that, okay? So the next thing is, once you've identified your problem you're going to solve, that's being clear, your clarity, okay? There are features and benefit, that's your content, right? The things about you that make you stand out. The next thing you want to think about is your community. Who are you solving your brand for? Who are you solving your brand for? Like, who is your brand solving problems for? I want you to think about that. Who's your target audience? Now, this is probably the most foundational thing when it comes to either a job or your career or your business. I want to emphasize to you, right? Identifying your target audience, whether it is in a job or in a business, is foundational to who you are. For me as a business, as a brand, I think this has probably been the number one thing that's really shifted the way I see my brand, is identifying who I'm targeting. Because before I was the designer, I was targeting everybody. Anybody who needed a logo, anybody who needed a brochure, anybody who needed a website, I just said, hey, I'll do it for you. I was more concerned with my features than I was my audience, right? I was more concerned about, a lot of times when it comes to brands, we talk more about what we can do versus more about who we can serve and what people we can help solve problems for. And so for me, I was more concerned about what I could do for people. I can do this, I can design this, I can make this, I can do this for you. But I wasn't focusing on who I can solve problems for. And when it comes to your brand, you got to really think about who are you really solving problems for? Like who specifically, like think about it like this, okay? When I was single, people used to always tell me to make a list, like make a list of the type of woman you want to marry, make a list of the type of girl you want to be with, right? And I thought that was foolish at first. It's like, why do I want to have a list? Like, that's stupid. Like, I don't get it. But I guarantee you, if I showed you my list right now on my phone, every single thing that I wrote down on my list that I was looking for, and these were things that were not just, oh, she has to look this way, but these were core values. These were foundational things that were important to me. Every single thing that I wrote down exactly to the T is what I feel like God gave me. Like exactly to the T. Like even from the point where I want a woman from another country who can sing. And specifically, I wanted someone from a Caribbean culture because I love Caribbean culture. And that's exactly what I got. Like literally to the T, that's exactly what I got, right? Now, if the same thing can apply for relationships, how much more should it apply to your brand? What you articulate, the people that you're looking for is who you're going to find. One thing my wife always says is to find your people. Like you can be in a crowd of 1,000 people, but if you don't know specifically who you're selling to, who your market is, like exactly what they're needing from you, it's going to be really hard to sell. Because yes, I know your product can serve a lot of people. Yes, I know your job history. There's a lot of things you can do, right? There's a lot of things you can accomplish. But how do we package those things to be specifically relevant to the people that you're targeting? That's what it means to understand your target audience. So how do you do that? There's a few things that you do to do that, and I think it's really important to remember. The first thing is you got to understand your target demographic, guys. You got to understand like things like age, location, what they like to do, where they're from, marital status, their spending habits, right? When it comes to a business, those are the things you got to figure out, right? If you gave like for me, I gave my person a name. You got to give your person a name for your target audience. Like give that person a name, list their profiles. I was talking to some company one time. When I was in college, we went to go visit a radio company here in Tulsa called KXOJ. And they talked about their target audience, and their target audience name was Beth. And Beth was she was a mom, married, 2 kids. She was a soccer mom, married with 2 kids. She made between $35,000 to $75,000 a year. Her husband was probably like an engineer or an architect. He had a pretty successful job. She did a lot of stuff from home. She went to all her kids' games. She had a great time with her family. She always was serving her family a lot of times. But she also sometimes she volunteered a lot at church. She was very actively involved in church. And then sometimes she worked, sometimes she didn't, depending on the stage of life that they are. But that's what their target audience was. And so anytime they did an advertisement, anytime they did a event, anytime they did a radio program, they always had Beth in mind, right? Beth was always in the forefront of what they did, okay? When it comes to who you are as a brand, who's your target audience? And this is like for your business and your career. For your business, it may be those pain points. It may be their age, their demographic. When it comes to your career, what company is your target audience? Think about that. Like instead of you looking for companies and try to figure out what company you want and just applying for every company, what if you pre-decided what kind of company you want to work for and that company became your target audience? Think about that. Instead of you just searching for every job that comes on Indeed, instead of you going to Google and looking for every job, like on my phone, I have for my career specific kind of job and company that I'm looking for, right? And so that I don't go and look for jobs, I go and look for cultures. I don't go and look for different jobs. I go look for companies, right? And if I look for the company, I can find the job. If I look for the company, I can find exactly what kind of job I'm looking for, okay? I don't have to be glued down and weighed down based on the just, oh, well, this company is hiring, so I guess I apply for there. And I try to pick and choose. No, here's the companies I want to work for. Here's the kind of culture I want to work for. And so this is the kind of culture I want to work for. Here's the kind of environment. Here's how I want to get paid. Here's what I want in that culture, so I can find the companies looking for that. And so now I can reverse engineer my job process. Instead of me just going to every job that's handed to me on Indeed or Glassdoor, I can then reach out. Here's a job search tip. I can reach out specifically to leaders in that company who are over that particular job, right? Over that particular, and even if they're not hiring, I can still make a connection. And I don't even realize, I may not even realize it. They may create an opportunity for me. The last company I worked at, they created my job just for me because I was looking more for the company than I was the person, right? Every job I've worked at, they've created a role specifically just for me, right? Because I like the company and the company created the culture that I was looking for. I didn't go just look for jobs. I look for cultures. I look for companies. I look for atmospheres. I look for mindsets. That's what you want to do, okay? That's what's most important. When it comes to your business, you got to ask yourself, who am I looking for, right? Like, yes, it could be women, okay? What kind of women? What age range? What do they do for a living? How much are they making? Where do they hang out? The next thing is, what are their pain points? Every company and every audience has pain points. Pain points are those things that would cause them to buy for you. Well, you know, here's somebody who they're really frustrated with their health, right? Well, how does your company, how does your brand solve their problem for them? Well, here's somebody, or here's a company, they're really looking for people who are motivated, that are autonomous, that are self-motivated. Well, how does your brand solve their problem for them? Every company that you work for, and then every audience that you're looking for, they have pain points that you have to identify that will cause them to buy for you, right? There are specific things they have that they are like, man, I really wish we can find people who can do this. And so then you don't even have to sell to them. You're just bringing your problem, your solution to their problem. That's what sales is, connecting solutions to problems. That you have a problem, I have a solution, and we're just connecting the two. That's easy work, guys. Like literally, like you're basically, but if you're not clear about your audience, if you're not clear about your mission, your why, the problem you're solving, if you're not clear about what features make you different, then it's really difficult to identify, here's the problem that you solve, here's the people that you want to solve it for. Well, what brings you together are those things we talked about. Okay, what are your features and benefits? What is your mission? What is your why? And can they properly understand that? Can they properly understand what they are? Whether you're working in a job or working in the business, that's what you're bringing together, okay? The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to your brand, okay? So we talked about, first of all, you're getting clarity, right? The problem you want to solve. That's the first C, all right? The second C we talked about was your content, like those are your features and benefits. The third C we talked about was your community, like who are you targeting? And the last one we're going to talk about is your connection, which platforms you want to use to connect to your audience. So once you understand those things, there's a lot of different platforms out there in which you could talk to your audience about, okay? You can really bring your solutions to. So I'm going to start with it from a career, and then I'm going to go to the business side. So from a career side, right, we all know about LinkedIn and Indeed, but the first thing is you got to identify, is your career platform up to date, right? So let me give an example. A lot of people, first of all, aren't Indeed. And before they're on Indeed, their resume isn't updated. Like I said, your resume has to be a solution, or think about your resume less as a resume and more as a brochure. If I read your resume, would I specifically be able to see how you solve problems for other companies? Or is it just a list of job duties? Because job duties don't get me excited, right? Solutions do. Job duties don't get me excited. Solutions do, okay? And so if your resume has a list of job duties, then we got to change that and make it more solution oriented. How have you increased sales in a previous company? Because of you, right? How did that company change? What new marketing initiative or what new initiative did you start at your previous company, right? What kinds of things did you bring? Okay. One of the things I tell my students to do, and I've done this, is have letters of recommendation on the back of your resume. You know, you can flip your resume over and put letters of recommendation on the back of that. And whenever you give their resume to someone, on the front, they see your resume, on the back, they see your letters of recommendation. That's really important, right? Some other things you could do. If you're not on LinkedIn, you should be. If your LinkedIn isn't updated, if all I see is one job and you've worked at 20 of them, then your LinkedIn has to be updated. LinkedIn is the #1 resource that job employers go and look at when they look for you. And the cool thing about LinkedIn, it gives you the platform, because we're talking about platforms, to connect with leaders in your industry before you even go on a job interview with them. I remember I got a job lead specifically through LinkedIn. Like literally, I applied for a job a while back, and originally they sent me the default letter saying that, hey, you didn't get the job. However, a month or so later, I got a message on LinkedIn because I specifically reached out to the people on LinkedIn, okay, who were over that particular job. And they messaged me saying they want to bring me in for a job interview for that job, right? Because of my platform. So your platform has to be aligned with what problems you solve. Now, if my resume was just a list of job duties, that doesn't mean anything to them. But because I've really taken the time to specify exactly how I solve problems for people, it makes the biggest difference in people and how they see me, okay? Now, when it comes to your business, very much so the same thing. There are several different platforms you can use. I mean, you can decide that you want to sell products online. Well, what platform are you using, right? And how exactly, what process are you using to solve this, to sell those products online, right? Are you using a Wix account? Are you using a Weebly account? And it's not just about the website, but how does your website tell a story? The thing I found when people who sell products, specific like physical products, is they don't tell a story about their products. They just think that, you know what, I sell hair, or I sell clothes, or I sell hand cream. And they put their hand cream, and they put their hair, and they put their clothes, they put whatever stuff they're making on their website, and it's like, okay, it's on there, go buy it. That's not how people buy stuff, guys. What you got to understand, what story are you telling? Even if you're giving a lot of features, yeah, I can go in there and I can see that it's organic and is healthy and is, you know, the cream is amazing. But specifically, tell me a story. Tell me a story about why your business matters. Tell me, like, in amongst the millions of products out there that I can buy to solve this exact problem, tell me the story behind why you solving this problem for me with your product means more, okay, than me going to Walmart and getting it somewhere cheaper, okay? Tell me, right? And it cannot be just because, well, I'm me, so buy it. I mean, that's the problem a lot of people feel when it comes to, like, I see this a lot in African American owned businesses. Well, you should just buy Black owned businesses, you know? And it's not true, right? If you can be Black, amazing, that's great, but that's not enough for me to go and buy something from you. How does your particular business solve a specific problem for what I'm needing right now? And how can you articulate that to me? Like, how can you articulate beyond your ethnicity, beyond the fact that you're a girl or boy, how does your problem specifically solve a problem? And what is the story behind how I solved that problem? One of the best examples for that for me is Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A, literally, guys, is a chicken restaurant. They sell chicken sandwiches. That's what they do. They literally sell chicken sandwiches every day, right? And the chicken sandwiches are good, but I've had some really good chicken sandwiches from places that are not Chick-fil-A, right? But neither one of those places have a brand like Chick-fil-A does, because Chick-fil-A has a story and Chick-fil-A has an experience. When it comes to your brand, when it comes to business, you got to understand what's your story and what's your experience. When you go to Chick-fil-A, there's an experience that you have that is unlike any other experience that you can have. When you walk into their customer service, their experience, the dedication they have to those people, that makes a difference. They have a process that they walk their people through to give the best customer service. Some of you guys with businesses, you're selling features, you're selling products, but you don't have a process. Like, when if I'm taking my hard-earned money and I'm trying to trust you with my dollar for your product, right? What experience are you going to give me? What process are you going to take me through? That's one of the things I have to do for my business, right? I was selling a lot of features, a lot of benefits, but I never had a real process that I took people through. And so I developed a process. So now when you go on my website, mydreamstart.com, you see my process. You see the things that I offer. I simplified exactly what I offer. I only offer 3 things now, right? Instead of saying I could do a million things, I have a second company called Influencer, where I can develop your brand for you. I can do it physically for you, okay? I have a coaching business called DreamStart, in which I do training and development. I do career coaching and development. And I also do brand coaching, personal brand coaching development. That's it, okay? And under each of those, I have a few different services that I offer, but I've learned to simplify what I do, and also to identify the process that I take people through. You don't have a business until you have a process, okay? You don't have a business until you have a way where people can see, here's where I'm at step A, here's the process that I take people through, because processes create results, okay? Processes create results. Even if you are a speaker, okay? You're taking people through a process before they even book you to speak. And then when you're speaking, people are actually going to use that process that you're giving them in the speech. So everything that you do, either you have a process that you take your clients through, or even before someone books you, there's a process, people. This Shift Your Life Challenge is part of a process that I'm developing for a product I'm going to release. So when you think about your platform, when you think about the way, it's not just about, am I online, am I on social media? I mean, in my masterclass, we're going to talk a lot more about that, but it's about the process that I'm taking people through, okay? And the experience that I'm giving people in the process. And part of your process is your story. Part of your process is your culture. Part of your process is your experience. Part of your process are the things that you're willing to work people through in the process, okay? So 4 things, reviewing them one more time, is clarity, okay? First C in personal branding, which I believe is the biggest part of why we don't ship, is being clear about the problem you're solving. Second C is your content. What are your features and benefits? What about you makes you unique? Third C is going to be your community, okay? Like, what people are you targeting? What companies are you targeting? And the fourth one, right, is going to be your process, right? The things that you're wanting to do, the process you're taking people to, your culture, okay? Those are the things that's going to really make the biggest difference, okay? So I hope they help you guys. If you guys have any questions for me, you can ask them under this video, and I'll probably go and do a second video later on today where I can answer your questions. Some of the most common questions I've had people ask me, well, Ramon, hey, this is great content. This is really cool, but where do I start with this, right? Well, first of all, you start with yourself. That's one of the things I'm doing this year. So I'm starting with me. If you don't remember anything else, the first thing you need to do is get clear about who you are as a brand first before you start delivering to other people. So one thing I'm doing this year, guys, I'm only doing a few things online this year. I'm only doing a few things in my business this year, so I can be very clear about what I'm offering to people, so I can remain consistent in my clarity, and then so I can execute on that consistency. The biggest thing that people have with brands is inconsistency, right? And I've seen it in my own life over the last few years where I'll start something and I'll stop it. I'll start it again and I'll stop it and I'll start it, and I'm not really consistent with it long term. But this year, my goal, my word is consistency. My word is you know what? I'm going to do a business. I'm going to start a brand. I'm going to launch my content, but I'm going to be consistent with it this year. And so what you're seeing right now is a big part of a bigger something that I'm going to announce later on tonight. Okay. So start with you. Ask yourself, am I clear about my audience? Like, can I picture in my head the people that I'm reaching? Can I picture what their problems they're going through? Can I see what's going on in their lives? Can I see what they're struggling with right now, right? Am I clear about the problem that I'm solving? If someone asks me in less than 30 seconds, can I tell people the problem that I'm solving? Like, in less than 30 seconds, can I tell people, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's why I do it, here's the people I do it for, okay? Am I clear about my features and benefits? And are my features as an individual, are they assets or are they liabilities, right? Are the things about me that are strong, or the things about me that are good, are they assets? Have I invested time in it? Have other people invested money into them? Have I been paid for what I'm telling people that I can do for them? Have I shown results? Maybe I haven't gotten paid from it, but I've helped other people get paid for what I'm doing, right? And am I clear about my culture and my process? The process and the platform that I'm taking people through, am I clear about that? People are clear about when they hire me, right, for business or for a career, that they know exactly what they're going to get from me. They know exactly the process I'm going to take them through. They know exactly how I'm going to do what I'm doing. That's what it means to shift your career and your business, and that's what it means to shift your brand, okay? Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to reach me, my website is www.mydreamstart.com, www.mydreamstart.com. You can reach me on Instagram at Ramon Walker, on Facebook, facebook.com/mydreamstartsnow. And yeah, those are all of my social media links. Thank you guys so much again. And I hope this has really helped you. This has really blessed you. And I will talk to you guys later. I will see you guys tonight for our last speaker tonight as well. Miss Latoya Rose is going to be ending tonight. We're talking about shifting your finances. So thank you guys again.